Welcome to Nach Simanim. I'm Jacob Thomas, and today we'll be learning Shmuel Bet, perek Chaf Aleph. We begin this perek with a famine that has taken over the land of Israel for 3 years. And now David HaMelech, after this time, asks God, why is this happening? And God answers, it's because Shaul killed the Gibonim. The Gibonim have, back in Sefer Yehoshua, made a pact with Bnei Yisrael, and we promised not to hurt them. But Shaul had broken this oath and killed them. Now, David, who wants to atone for this sin, summons the Gibonim and asks, what do you want me to do as repentance for this sin? They did not want money and instead wanted 7 of Shaul's descendants to be delivered to them and killed. Now, David decided to spare Mephibosheth because he was Yonatan's son and of the oath he made to Yonatan, but handed over 7 other people from the house of Shaul to satisfy their demand for bloody justice. Ritzpah bat Aya, who was the mother of many of these kids and raised probably the other ones of the 7, stood in sackcloth by the dead bodies for the beginning of the harvest until the rain fell, faying off vultures or other animals that would get to the bodies. She guarded them day and night. She did not let birds or beasts touch them. And from this incredible chesed, this moved David to retrieve the bones of Shaul and Yonatan and bury them with honor in a tomb. Now, we then have the war with the Rephaim, where the Plishtim attack Bnei Israel. David, in this battle, became weak, leading to the giant Ishbi Benov to almost capture him, leading Avishai, one of David's top generals, to intervene and slay the giant. From this near death that David experiences, David is then told not to go out to any more wars. And we have then a description of many of other David's soldiers who slay other giants, including the giant Gat, the sons of the giant. And this includes a giant who had 24 fingers and toes. And the threat of the giants was extinguished. As a recap, we have the famine that goes throughout Bnei Yisrael over the 3 years, and the justice that the Gibonim want for the dead people. And then we have the action of Ritzpah to guard the bodies for months, leading David to eventually gather them a proper burial. Then we have the giant wars, where David's men defeat the remaining giants of the Plishtim. We are in perek Chaf Aleph, so just like Zichru, we use a kar, because Bostonians pronounce kar as ka. So here's what the simon. Ritzpah places the dead bodies in the trunk of her car to guard them. This reminds us how there was a famine in the land of Eretz Yisrael, and it was because of Shaul killing the Gibonim, and the Gibonim want blood for blood, and want 7 of Shaul's descendants to die. And Ritzpah, the mother of said descendants, decides to protect them and make sure that vultures and other animals do not get to them. In a way, protects them in her car. Now, one more time with the simon. Ritzpah places the dead bodies in the trunk of her car to guard them. We're now going to do a 4 perek back chistara, starting with perek Yud Zayin, in which we use a used car. A normal simon we have is the used car salesman gives David a used car to help him escape from death. Or you can do the used car salesmen argue over when to sell their used car. This reminds us how there was the argument between Achitophel, who was Avshalom's advisor, and Hushai, who was sent by David, whether they should attack now or attack later. Hushai's advice to attack later is taken. Achitophel realizes that Avshalom's rebellion is going to lose, so he then goes home and puts his he puts everything in place and then kills himself. We then have a description of different things that David does at this time. Perek Yudchet, in which we use a chuppah, because the Chazal tells us when you're 18, you should go to the chuppah. Avshalom's hair is caught by the top of a chuppah, leading to his death. This reminds us how Avshalom and David have their war. David stays back and splits his army soldiers into separate groups. Yoav then, Avshalom is riding his donkey. His very long hair gets caught in a tree. His donkey runs away, and he's hanging there. Yoav then goes and kills him, eventually sends the message back to David, who bemoans this tragedy. Perek Yud-Tet, in which we use a yacht. Yud-Tet, yacht. David returns to Yerushalayim on his yacht, regaining his status as king. This reminds us how David was inconsolable after the death of Avshalom. Yoav tells him, "How dare you cry over those who saved you?" David takes this musar and then returns and becomes king again. And first Yehuda accepts him. He wants to reward those who helped him, like Barzillai. And the other tribes begin a tension. This tension goes into Perek Chaf, in which we use a cafe. The wise woman stops the angry cafe customer from rebelling. Or you can do a wise woman stops the angry man from destroying the cafe. This would remind us how there is a tension between Yehuda and the other 10 tribes of letting David back as the kingship, who did it first, and Shimei gets the other 10 tribes to go away from David. Now, David then sends messengers to kill him. He escapes to a city that David's soldiers are going to almost completely destroy. But a wise woman then talks with the soldiers and tells them, "Who do you want to kill?" They bring the man out, who is Shimei, and she ends up saving the city. We also have a description about how Amasa is killed in secrecy by Yoav. We're now going to do a 10-question pop quiz, starting with Shmuel Bet. In which perek does David compose the lamentation, the kina for Shaul and Yonatan? Shmuel Bet, perek Aleph. In which perek does David cross the Yarden and show mercy to Shimei ben Gera? Shmuel Bet, perek Yud Tet. In which perek is Uzzah struck down after touching the holy Aron in order to steady it as it is being brought to Yerushalayim? Shmuel Bet, perek Vav. In which perek is there a 3-year famine that strikes because of Shaul's sins against Gibon? Shmuel Bet, perek Chaf Aleph. In which perek does Yoav kill Avner to avenge the death of his brother Asael? Shmuel Bet, perek Gimel. In which perek does Ritzpah bat Aya guard the bodies of her sons on the rock? Shmuel Bet, perek Chaf Aleph. In which perek does David seek out Yonatan's son Mephibosheth to show him kindness? Shmuel Bet, perek Tet. In which perek does Ishbosheth assassinated in his bed by Bana and Rachav? Shmuel Bet, perek Dalet. Shmuel Aleph, bonus question. In which perek is Shaul publicly chosen and anointed as the first king of Israel? Shmuel Aleph, perek Yud. Shoftim, bonus question. In which perek is Yehuda and Shimon join forces to defeat Adoni Bezek? Shoftim, perek Aleph. That is it for today. May we be zocha to finish all of Nach, one perek at a time. And remember it, day after day. Have a wonderful day.